and watch a guy who doesn't have one anymore. What will KB do today? Change guitar strings, perhaps? Grade papers? Worry about his future? Who knows? The only thing we know is it's guaranteed to make you question your intelligence, simply because you're watching it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the unemployed lifestyle of KB.
The pods are now open.
Look at my cat. Look at my cat. Look. Look.
I like to study about the world cities and airports.
KB brings just great instincts. That's what you love about him.
That boy ain't right.
If Andy yearns for Brenda and Brenda cares about Charlene, who pines for Andy, the three of them form one of these. Kara.
What is it, threesome?
No.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Lesbians. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
I don't mind a bit of bush.
37 in a row?
Shut the up, okay? Shut the up.
Do you want to start drinking?
Yes.
You know I'm gonna have to go for 420, Bob.
Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its!
Light this candle.
He's right. Let's light this candle.
Light the candle.
The candle is lit again for day 3 of KB's Unemployed show. The dumbest show ever in the history of shows being done on YouTube. But had a good time yesterday with Ben in the 414 and learned a lot about Legos. And as our conversation went on, I started digging into it. And it's like, man, this whole Lego verse is amazingly huge. So, share a text that I had that I got from my son to show you just how much how people are into Legos, because he lives in Boston. And let me look this up here. So I sent him a text, and he lives in Boston. So I wanted to kind of get the perspective of what was going on with the Brown University out there, the Brown University shooting, and see how they were covering it out there. And he said, I said, did you see that the person of interest in the Brown University shooting was from Cedarburg? That was the first guy who has been cleared. So there is literally, there's literally no... the person from Cedarburg or whatever people were thinking, it has absolutely nothing to do with this. They're still looking to for the shooter. And I said, apparently it wasn't him though. And my son responds with, didn't even know there was a shooting. I said, what? No, didn't. And he said, been busy over here building Legos and watching Puck. So, sorry about that. So that is how important Legos are. And he's 31. Oh, good. We lost a viewer. Excellent. I'm going to drive this thing into the ground if I possibly can. But anyway, so today I started, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about, other than the fact that I do want to get into a discussion about coloring. Why? I don't know, but I'll get into a discussion about coloring. And I even got so ambitious that I have set up a coloring cam, if you will. And I will right there. See, right there's the old coloring cam. And when I start to color and do my comparison between colored pencils, hey, someone else left. Excellent. Between colored pencils versus crayons, you'll be able to watch and literally see that there isn't. The beautiful thing about this is this can't be done on radio, if you will. I don't like the coloring cam. It's getting I lost a lot of weight. It's still getting my stomach, so we're gonna have to turn the old coloring cam off right now. Oh, okay. Back to the shooting. So they were still looking for a person of interest, and they know they keep releasing videos from Ring door cameras, which I don't have a Ring doorbell, and I've been thinking about about getting one. And the fact that I think the last time my wife went out driving, we would we were going to put the garage door down, and there was something wrong with the garage door opener. And she said, I go, oh, damn it, the garage door didn't go down. And she goes, don't worry about it. We got a pit bull. And we do. So I really don't worry about that all that much. Been kind of following a little bit the Boston shooting thing. And then this Rob Reiner thing came up. And I'm a big, big fan of all the work that he's done. I learned, and I didn't know, he wrote the very first episode of Happy Days. So he had a hand in that. And of course, his dad, Carl Reiner, an absolute comic genius. They were talking about, and all the video is out there. They have the video where they arrested his son. They had the where he was in they showed where he was in a convenience store, and he's very nervous, and a cop walks in. You can tell there's something going on. But as I listened to this story, and maybe tomorrow I'll bring you an image because I just heard it. They arrested him in a hotel near Santa Monica, and they said he checked into the hotel at 4 a.m. And when they got him, when he was in this convenience store, they went back to the hotel, and they went into the hotel, and the hotel, they said there was blood on the sheets that he hung up over the drapes in the window, and there was blood all over the sheets of the bed, and the bathtub was full of blood. It's not going to be good for the defense. But the first thing that came to my mind is, who's the front desk guy? If he came in and he had to check in, and there was that much blood, he would have either had to come in with like a jumpsuit on, or the guys have people just covered in blood come in all the time. And it's like, it's no big deal. Oh, another guy coming in all covered with blood. We'll give him room 402. That's the blood room. Yeah, we don't clean that one up anymore. So this is going to be very, very interesting. And then, he has this attorney, this Alan Jackson guy, who is now, he's probably the new Dershowitz or F. Lee Bailey or any of those guys. Well, they're all, dead now. All those OJ guys, they're all dead now. And he's probably going to be the next guy that is going to be one of these big national defense attorneys that gets all of the high-profile clients. And so you got to wonder. It's like, okay, well, I'm sure he was a nepo baby, so I'm sure he's got money somewhere to bankroll this, unless this guy is just taking the case just to increase his potential for other cases. And his marketability, which is entirely possible. But I wonder why someone would take a case like that. I mean, everyone is entitled to due process in a defense. And they went to the they went to the arraignment. They had the arraignment today, and it's been postponed to January 7th. But they said they have him locked up, and he's in a suicide vest, which they didn't show a picture of it, and I don't know what it is, but a suicide vest has got to be kind of like a straitjacket, I would figure, where you couldn't, move your arms. And, maybe the only way you could possibly commit suicide is just by slamming your head against the wall. But they had him in a suicide vest, which I don't know. I mean, I think that's going to be a first red flag of guilt. But they did not enter a plea. He's being charged with 2 counts of murder. Is anyone who follows the story going to know this? It's not like I'm bringing you any new information, but you got to wonder why. The guy takes, the defense attorney takes the gig, and it's like, well, yeah, I know I know that everyone is entitled to, due process and to defend themselves, guilty or innocent. And it reminded me, going all the way back to the Dahmer trial. And what people are going to go out, and this is even worse, because people are going to go out on the internet now and they're going to draw their own conclusions about, what the defense is going to be. And you've got all these internet sleuths, and you go all over Reddit, and they, once something breaks, and it was like horrible with the Idaho killings, because now all of a sudden you have these people that are, breaking the case, these online detectives. And a lot of that comes from the, and I highly recommend this documentary that was on Netflix called Don't F with Cats. And they tracked down a serial killer because he killed a cat he killed a cat live on YouTube or some other streaming platform, and people tracked him down, and they found this guy by killing a cat, how he killed a cat. And they were looking in the background in his house at everything, and it's like, okay, they saw, and they would zoom in, and they saw, okay, look at that outlet there. That outlet is not an American outlet, so we know the guy's in Europe, and this. And then as they perused the video, they saw that there was a pack of cigarettes, and zoomed in on this pack of cigarettes and read the warning label, which was different than the warning label in the United States. Just some really deep shit. And so these internet sleuths will be out there. But back to my original point, which was the Dahmer trial. And you can't even begin to imagine what that would have been like if it happened in the age of social media. But I had a very dear friend who was since passed, rest in peace, Jerry Boyle, who I played a lot of golf with. And obviously he was much, much older than me, but he was Dahmer's defense attorney. And I remember playing golf with him. And, he's a jolly old Irishman. Really, he was just a great, great guy. I mean, funny. And I remember playing golf with him, and I was living in Chicago at the time, but I was coming back on the weekends. We're playing golf, and he just goes to me, he goes, "Hey, so what do you think of my boy?" And it was like, oh, dear God. Because I saw it when I picked up the trib and got on the train, and it was on the front page. And I'm looking like, Jerry is his defense attorney. And then with another girl who I went to college with, but she had dyed her hair, platinum blonde. But I started talking to Jerry and go, okay, they've got this guy dead to rights, obviously. You go into a guy's apartment, you find heads and you find bodies decomposed, and you're pretty much nailed, right? And he brought up an interesting point. He said, a lot of people think that I'm going into this trial trying to get a not guilty plea. He goes, there's no way on God's green earth I'm getting a not guilty plea. And he goes, if it was going to plead not guilty, I don't know if I would even taken the case. And he goes, what they don't understand is that everyone has a right to be represented. And my objective is to get him the best, he didn't say deal, but the Dahmer trial wasn't necessarily entirely about guilt or innocence as much as it was about, is he going to get sent to prison or is he going to get sent to a mental institution? Ultimately he did get sent to prison where he ended up dying. He was murdered with the guy, Jesse Anderson. Because conveniently, they were cleaning up the shower and recreation area, and the cops or the guards just didn't happen to be there. Another fun fact about the whole Dahmer thing that you don't know, and representation, that he was killed in prison by a guy named Christopher Scarver, who ended up being defended by Jerry Boyle. So Jerry Boyle got Dahmer, and then he got the other guy. Or his firm did, at least. But But with the Reiner thing, I think you take the case. It's just I don't know how you can try and get the guy off. And anyone who does try and get the guy off on stuff like that is really weaselly. My wife told me, like, with this Mangione thing, it's like they got him, walking up and killing the guy, the guy from United Healthcare, shooting him in the back in cold blood, and now they're claiming the Miranda rights thing, and to try and get off and get him off on a technicality. And I don't know, I can't figure out what the fuck is wrong with people anymore, because you've got, like, the Mangione thing, you've got all these people coming to his defense because he's good looking. And it's like, and they become folk heroes. And it's like, yeah, okay, insurance sucks. Don't get me wrong. Hey, trust me, I know what a pain in the ass insurance is, because I'm going to have to figure it out inside of 10 days. But just because insurance is expensive and it sucks doesn't mean you can just go around whacking people and then try and get them off on a technicality. If they're trying to get them off on a technicality, I would have literally zero respect for those attorneys, because that's just freaking grimy, right? But that's so the Reiner thing is going to be really interesting. And I went back after, and I talked about this yesterday, that I watched Spinal Tap 2, which was meh. It was okay. Not as good as the original Spinal Tap. But then I went and watched the original Spinal Tap again, and man, it's talk about that thing holding up. That is absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite movies of all time is This Is Spinal Tap. And of the 5 people watching, if you want to hit the comments, or if you want to subscribe, you can do that. You can go hit the subscribe button. But if you want to hit the comments, now that I'm unemployed, and I'm using this as a kind of a cover, so my wife doesn't get mad. She thinks I'm actually accomplishing something. Because I'm going, oh no, I got to do this show. Got to keep feeding the algorithm, man. You got to keep posting content if you're going to stay and if you're going to stay relevant. Got to be out there. Got to be out there. But hit me with some movies that good. We're down to 4. Hit me with some movies that I should be watching as I'm laying around during the day. Then I, the way my day usually is, I get up early, and my wife leaves really early to go to school because she teaches, and she has to be there at like 7:15 or something like that. So she leaves really early. So I tend to get up about 6:30, have a cup of coffee with her, and then go, yep, I'm going to start my day. And she goes off to work, and I go crash again for a little bit. And then I get up and I do a few things. I do some vacuuming, which, by the way, I'm going to go over here for a second. This is the best. I've never vacuumed so much in my entire life. My son got us this Dyson vacuum. It's totally kick-ass, right? And it's kind of lightweight, and you can carry around. It's rechargeable. I've not vacuumed as much in my life as I have since we got this thing, so it's really easy. So I vacuum a lot. Well, the trick to vacuuming, and this is for all the married guys out there, look, if your wife goes away and you got to clean up the house, it'll be 2 tips. There are 2 things you have to do. You got to get Clorox wipes, the ones that smell the absolute bleachiest. All right. You don't have to scrub with them, but you just got to get those wipes. And so let's say if you've gone for a weekend or something, and my former radio partner, who was a baseball writer for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Drew Olson, who is also on Big 12 sports report and has anchored the sports because he's better looking than I am. And, you know, even though I lost weight, I got a lot of this shit. I wish I could get rid of that. I wouldn't feel so bad about myself. I could get rid of this. But anywho, that doesn't matter. So you get Clorox wipes. First thing you do. And you take those things and anything that is porcelain, all you got to do is just run it over. Run it over that. Get the lemony ones. But your wife will come home and she will go, smells lemony fresh. You must have cleaned. And even though you really didn't, but it's something that's, you know, it's good to do. Turn my guitar around too so you can see it. It's something that's so she can smell it. So you create the illusion of cleanliness. Then the second thing is vacuuming. If you have carpet, vacuuming is the key. Because it's just, I look at it, that it's just like mowing the lawn. Just like mowing the lawn. You go back and forth and you put the lines in the carpet. It's all you got to do. I mean, you don't have to do it just, you can do that 2 minutes before they're expecting to return, just like Tom Cruise did in Risky Business. And you go, and there's lines in the carpet. And then it's like, oh man, here we go. He must have vacuumed. You fluff up a couple of pillows, call it a day. Hey, Ben, my guest from yesterday, loves the Dyson stick vacuum. And now I have to get a Robo Mop vac and we'll give you even more free time. Is that I'm not going to get like I looked at those and those are like really expensive. And I'm pretty sure that if we did that, and that was like going around when we weren't there and just running on its own, the cat would either go insane or Kenneth would kill it. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the latter. I'm pretty sure Kenneth would kill it. So that would be nothing but aggravation, and it would be a nightmare, basically a total nightmare. Excuse me, but the Dyson stick vacuum is that's one of the most incredible things ever. But you know, all that Dyson stuff is insanely expensive. You get a Dyson fan, it's like $400. It's like I don't need a fan. I got a $19 box fan, cools me off just fine. So where were we? Okay, we did Rob Reiner, we did Spinal Tap, we did, okay. Oh, okay, here we go. The big thing today that I want to talk about is coloring. Now, what do I mean by coloring? I mean like literally coloring with crayons, okay? And why? Well, as many people know, I don't know if the 5 of you that are watching now, got it peaked at 7. That was my all-time high. Big round of applause. Yay me. I got to 7 viewers at one point. And I'm sure the people tuned in and went, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. I got to get out of here. And it is. And it's intended to be. But coloring. Okay. Many of you know that I teach. And I can tell you that kids today, COVID didn't do us any favors, and neither do parents. Because I get these college kids, and I would say 70% of them are just totally neurotic and freaking out about everything. And why? Why are you freaking out so much? Well, there's so much pressure that is put on them by teachers or I guess it's just society as a whole that you got to get a good job. You got to do this, that they totally wig out. So I'm trying to get them to be creative. So twofold. I want them to be creative, but I also wanted to create a class where they don't freak out and where it's just fun. I guess it's kind of a safe space. This is my way of bringing in puppies without having to bring in puppies. So, but I want them to use their minds and I want them to use their creativity because and I had nuns when I went to parochial school and that's before nuns, I think, became extinct. I don't know why they became extinct. I'm guessing it was smoking. But no, I had nuns, and they used to beat the living crap out of us, and we used to get yelled at for daydreaming. Pay attention, look at me, right. And which reminds me, nuns, another episode that I'll have coming up, I'll have to make a note of that, is on the smoking gun. I found the Al Qaeda torture manual, and it had 29 things that Al Qaeda does to its detainees, or the people that it captures, to torture them. And I had 7 of them done to me by nuns in parochial school, and that's not an exaggeration. But anyway, they're all freaked out. They're constantly freaked out. And I had nuns, and nuns would yell at you and go, pay attention, you're daydreaming. Well, if you teach them creativity, right, you're supposed to daydream, right? Your mind is supposed to wander, as mine does every minute that I'm speaking. I can go in one of 7 different directions, which is another note to self. Do a whole show on living with ADHD as a mature adult, or an immature adult, actually. And they would whack us and pay attention. But what they were doing is they were negatively reinforcing your creativity, right? They're saying, because daydreaming, that's where you come up with great ideas, man. You just zone out, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this will be awesome. So they were punishing you for thinking, which, I didn't realize that till a couple of years ago. So I just took the approach of, all right, if I'm going to be teaching creative thinking, I'm going to take the pressure off. So they used to have to buy a book. I don't make them buy a book. Why? Because they don't want to buy the book. They don't buy the book. When they do buy, all right, down to 3. We get this baby down to 0, then I can. No, I'm not. No, because if you have to stick around, because my story for what color is the sky in your planet, and then that'll be coming up in a little bit. What color is the sky in your planet is the most effed up thing I've ever seen in my life, where you just go, what the hell is wrong with people? It's like, how do they live in this world? But anyway, back to my students. So what I do is I don't give them a book, because if you give them a book, they don't buy the book because they don't want to spend the money on the book. They don't read the book. If you want to get them to read the book, you have to give them a test on the book, at which point you're creating more work for yourself. So why would I create more work for myself just because to get you to read a book that you didn't want to buy in the first place? It defies logic. So I said, all I put up is on the screen, what they need for the class is a sketchbook and a box of crayons. And they don't know. They're crayons. What do we want? Why crayons? And they can never figure it out. And I'm like, I'll tell you when you need them. And one day, and they say it's their favorite day of the whole year. Of course it is. I have coloring day. I go, okay, Thursday, bring your crayons. We're going to color. And they come in thinking they're going to be doing some big project. And all I do is I hand out coloring sheets, not the coloring sheets that I'm going to be coloring with today, because I'm going to show you the comparison between crayons and colored pencils. Which ones do you prefer? Oh, look at this. It's a drink chip. Oh, look at that. I got this. That's good for 1 free drink. That's 1 free drink right there. Good for 1 free drink at Blackstone Creek. The pub at Blackstone Creek. And I hand out coloring pages. And I might have one that's a Fortnite page. I might have one that is, Marvel action figures. I had a Taylor Swift one. And I go, okay, we're just going to sit and color. Well, what I do, and now I've realized after doing this for a couple of years, there's different types of colorers, if you will. Isn't that what you would call them, colorers? There's different types. You've got your You've got your soft, the soft circular color, and everything's really light. You've got people that are artists who know how to shade, and make things look more three-dimensional. I don't. You got people that can't stay in the lines if they're light dependent on it. You've got what I refer to as the hard colorer, which is just a phrase I made up when I saw a girl doing it. I go, "Oh, you're one of those hard colors," where they just press really hard and it gets. And then you got your outliners, and they outline stuff. And so there's a lot of different types. One of the coolest things that ever happened is, and this is where I realized, wow, this is kind of a good exercise, is that there was one kid and I gave him a Taylor Swift page, because the young kids, they like their Taylor Swift, and he made her goth. And so he colored her in with like jet black hair and black fingernails and all of this stuff. And I kind of looked at it, I had to laugh. I go, "You did a goth Taylor Swift?" He's like, "Yeah." Well, what crossed my mind is there's a guy that's exceptionally creative. I go, "That's a creative guy," because he didn't look at, most people just look at how that page is and then they try and figure out, okay, how do I make it look exactly like the original? And so when I looked at him, I'm like, wow, dude, that's remarkable. And what was going through my mind is, this is a really creative guy, because he's not playing by the rules, right? No one in their right mind would think Taylor Swift would be goth. And all the other students were totally into it. They were totally into it. They're like, this is the coolest thing. And all of a sudden, he got attention for doing this and doing things different, which is the entire reason I'm teaching this course, is what can you do to stand out? How can you think differently? How can you let your mind go? And me, I got painted into this corner because my services were no longer needed. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And I go, I'll just do a show about being unemployed. And I told a friend of mine, he goes, "What do you do?" I go, "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm unemployed. I'll just do it and talk whatever I want to talk about. Doesn't matter." And he goes, "Is anyone watching?" I go, "Well, 2 people do now, because now we've gone from 7 to 2. Ben is probably still sticking around. Ben's a good man. Ben's a Lego guy and a hockey guy. But I realized that by doing this exercise, I could see early on in the semester who the most creative kids were, because they were the ones that were breaking all the rules. And I'm like, this is really going to work. So I have everyone color. But what they didn't realize is that as they're coloring, a couple things happen. I would just sit with my head down and they would all be coloring and they're sharing colors and we're just talking. We're having a good time. But then I would ask them questions about the subject matter that we were discussing. And that, because you can't get kids to talk to you in a college class to save your life. And that's what I'm saying. COVID didn't do us any good. I mean, we're just seeing the effects of it now, what shutting down schools did and to their socialization and all of this. But the only thing COVID did in going online to teach was the only thing it did was it conditioned kids to sit and stare straight ahead and not interact. Because that's all they ever did. They just sat and stared at a screen like the 2 of you are now, which I appreciate, by the way. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a big issue. And so I said to them when we got done, and everyone was talking, everyone is chatty. Everybody was having a blast. And they're like, this is the greatest thing. I didn't have any introverts when I do that class. And I just looked at them and I said, okay, now I know that you can all speak and participate. So I fully expect you to do that when we're not coloring. And I keep referring back to, did your mind, go off in tangents when we were doing that? Did you go to a different space? And they're all like, yeah. And I highly recommend that coloring is something that adults should be doing. As a matter of fact, I've got it, my friend Drew, he works in radio. My friend Drew and I always laugh about how we have great ideas, but we don't, we're really bad on follow through, which is true. But this whole coloring thing gave me a good idea. And that is the fact that I didn't know this until I moved into a subdivision. But every subdivision that you move into is there are hidden predators there that they should have to announce their presence to everybody who lives there. And I'm not talking about sexual predators. You can look that up on CCAP, or you can look that up on those, predator maps. I'm talking about the hidden predators in society. And who are those hidden predators? Well, I'm going to tell you. It is Pampered Chef Reps, Lagerburger Baskets. I don't even know if they're still in business. Sephora Jewelry, is that the stuff, the jewelry thing? Okay. Those are the predators in a subdivision that you have to watch out for, because they prey on the innocent. And it is the biggest scam in the world, because what do? They go to someone and go, hey, I want to have this party where I'm going to make all the money, but I want you to make all the food and buy all the drinks and pay $20 and get all the people to come, and then I'll come and make money off of you, and you did all the work. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But as we were coloring, and I can't do that, I need a female to run the point on this. It's my idea, but I have to do it with a female. I bet we could create, because then it's like a combination between it's like a mashup of like those wine places where you can paint, right? You get that sipping brush or whatever the hell it is. It's a mashup of that and Pampered Chef. So what you do is you throw coloring parties, and you get all the wives that in the neighborhood, and you charge them like $10 or whatever the heck it is. And then you go in and you get them like this one. It's from Amazon right here. Amazon Basics, right? This was like $3.75. 24 premium colored pencils. Okay. And so that's like $3. Then you go get them a coloring book. The book that I will be coloring from today is Live, Laugh, Fuck Off, adult swear words coloring book. So you go get them a coloring book like that, and the colors, and it'll cost you, your back end cost getting it out of Amazon is going to be about probably $7, $8. Then you charge them $25 and say, hey, you get to keep the coloring book and the colors. Then you have someone make all the finger sandwiches and get out bottles of wine. Then you hand all this stuff out, and then the housewives just get hammered drunk, color swear words, and bitch about their husbands and their life and how much they hate their kids because their kids are little shits and they're just exhausted and all the stuff that they bitch about those things. But I can't go in there, and do it. I mean, I probably could if I was like not that there's anything wrong with that, but if I was, gay, I could, because they wouldn't let a gay guy into their inner circle. They're not going to let some husband from down the block into the inner circle. And every woman's got a gay, by the way. I found that out from a friend of mine. Every woman has a gay. That's what they call him. Oh, he's my gay. They have a gay friend that they confide in. I didn't know that. I don't have a lesbian, but they have a gay. But that would be the only way I could infiltrate the suburban housewife inner circle. But I know this is a moneymaker. I know in my heart that this could kick ass. But I need a female to run point, because she would go in and do the whole thing. I would give her a rate, right? It'd be a pyramid scheme, just like Subway. All the money flows up, but you get a little taste too. And we could have these coloring parties. And then they all sit around, like I said, get hammered, and then you leave them with a catalog for different coloring books, and you can upgrade. Now, I started with the Crayola, And I got, this is the 48 pack, but I do have the 64 pack that has the sharpener in the back. And that was like all for the rich kids. But then I'm like, I didn't like the crayons. So I went to the premium colored pencil that you can see. And you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to turn on. We're going to debut. We're debuting right now on KB's Unemployed show. There we go. We are going to debut the coloring cam. There it is. We got the coloring cam, and look at that. I even got an overlay right there. So I can talk to you here, and you can see the color. So I went from the crayons, right? You got your 48 pack crayons, okay, and then you have the colored pencils, which let's just talk about. I'm going to compare the two, but I went from the crayons, which you have to sharpen all the time because I like a tip. I like a really fine tip on mine. I'm like, well, sharpening and using all the wax and stuff like that, it can be a total mess. So I said, if I get colored pencils, that'll be a lot better. But you still require a sharpener for the colored pencil. So then what I did, and this wasn't all that expensive, but markers. I went markers. Okay. And 72 markers. Look at these bad boys. Look at that. You got your colors there. And then it flips open. 72 colors. And here we'll just open one up here. And on one side, you've got the, you can see, there we go. On one side, you have the very thick brush, right? You got that tip right there, very thick. You got that. And then on the other side, we'll show this to you over here then. How about that? You got a very, we got to put it over here. You got a very thin, fine point. And I'm like, that's the thing, because there's no sharpening, right? And then I get that super thin point. But the problem with these is you got to be a pretty good colorer to color with those. And the 50 State Crayola, Nick says the 50 State Crayola crayons were the best. I'm not familiar, Nick. Explain to me a little bit more what the 50 State is. I think they got as high as 128. So I'm back to using the pencils and the crayons. But what I want to do is I'm going to do a little comparison. And what are we going to? I'll let you. You can vote on what I should color. I got these two. We got. There we go. I have to learn how to work everything backwards. We get 0 bucks given, and be effing happy. So there's 5 people there. First one to vote will be the one that I will color, and then I'll show you side by side crayons versus colored pencil, and you can decide for yourself. Is this not the most riveting freaking thing ever? So the 50 State Crayola crayons. I got a spam call. Was it a 50 crayon pack or a 48? Or did they have a color named after each state? Was Wisconsin red? I would assume it would be, right? You know what? I think I'm going to start. I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go with be effing happy. And we can decide what we think works a little bit better. I'm going to start with be effing happy. Thank you very much. And that's the thing. Don't you just want to, I had someone say to me, I'm a lot happier than I used to be. And it's a combination of a lot of things, including tweaking meds. But someone said something really that really resonated with me, and it makes all the sense in the world. Nick says each crayon was named and colored after a state. Wisconsin was cheddar cheese. Okay, that makes sense. Cheddar cheese could be. I was thinking maybe it was like a crimson for that it might be a crimson for badger red, but that makes all the sense in the world. So, but what someone said to me was happiness. Happiness is a choice, and you go, you know what? It is. You can choose to be happy or not, right? It's just all the way you look at things. And I've kind of taken it to heart. But if the guys that are watching, I don't even know if it's male or female watching, but the guys that are watching, again, another cautionary tale. When your wife is pissed at you about something, do not, under any circumstances, look at her and say, hey, the hell's wrong? Happiness is a choice. Okay? That does not work. That does not go over at all. It is and I'm helping you out just from Uncle Kev here. So we're going to go with be effing happy. And I'm going to start with the color first. And I'm just going to go over here. And I got doing the green. I feel like Bob Ross. I feel like Crayola Bob Ross. We got to start off with a little bit of green. Okay, a little bit of green. Did you see? I read this thing the other day that Bob Ross, one of Bob Ross's paintings that he did, which were the most god awful things I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, they should have been hanging in the motel that Nick Reiner went and crashed at. That it sold for like $2.1 million. So right now I'm using a little bit of green, as you can see. It's kind of tough to see the colors because of the way the lighting is. There we go. But I'm using a little bit of green, and I can put it up here too. So I got the green happening right there. I'm a circular colorer. That's what I do. I'm not a shader. I'm a circular. I do circular coloring. So I'm going to do the bee here. As you can see, I'm doing the bee in the green, and this is okay. This is Granny Smith apple green, which is and that's a thing about it. Crayola. Crayola is an international crayon. It is global, because on the top it says, right there it says, shut up, Kenneth. It says Granny Smith apple. I don't know, maybe it's over here is a little bit better. That you can see a little bit better. It says Granny Smith apple over here. But then as you go down, it says Manzana Verde. So but I thought Manzana that was banana. But no. Manzana is an apple. So apple green, and then Pomme Granny Smith, which would be French. So we're doing the green here. We're going to do the word "be" in the green. And, the coverage area is fine. I'm doing my best to stay in the lines. It's kind of dark in my room right now in my office. But so there we go. We got B, in the green. But then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to get a similar green, which is probably this one right here. I don't know if this is a Granny Smith apple green, but I'm going to do the green colored pencil. And let's see, this is more of a yellow green, which I suppose, yeah, if you think about it. And then I've got my, if you momentarily, I will be back with you momentarily, but I have my old school pencil sharpener. And so we're just going to get that sharp, because I said it. I like, it's all... I like a pointy tip. It's all about the tip. If you have a good tip, right, you got something. So then I'm just going to go over here. It's pretty close. And I'm going to do the colored pencil. You know what I have to do is I got to get if I'm going to do a coloring cam again, I got to get an overhead cam. And for me, the colored pencil is the way to go. I think I just got more control. I've got more line control. I think, but the one down negative of the colored pencil though is consistent fill, because I do leave there's a little bit more white spacing within the color than I might find from using a crayon. Kenneth, will you shut up? Yeah, Kenneth is in there whimpering. I'm going to put the Kenneth cam up because he just sits and lays in our room. So I'm going to have a Kenneth cam. The original K. Heck yeah, KB. And then you can just sit and watch him sleep. I talked to Red Hot. I had lunch with Red Hot today. And we were just shooting the shit about stuff, just kind of catching up. And I said, I got to go. And he goes, why? I go, I got a YouTube show to do. And he says, what is it? And I said, it's KB's Unemployed show. And he's like, what do you do? I go, I don't know. I just sit and I turn my camera on and sit at my desk and talk. And people watch me come and talk. Why? I don't know, but I'm glad you do. But you want to know something? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Even if you guys weren't here, I'd still be doing it anyway because I got nothing better to do. So you got, as you can see here, you've got a little bit of different areas. So it's coverage areas. So I would argue that your choice of crayon versus colored pencil, if we were going to break down the pluses and minuses, in terms of coverage, paper coverage, I think the crayon is probably preferred. However, you do run into breakage issues, especially with little fingers. If you get kids with little tiny fingers, you get breakage issues. You've got the fact that the crayon, you get the paper, you can peel all the paper off sometimes, and that can be a problem. Whereas the pencil, you don't have that. You don't have the breakage issues with the pencil. You ever see that? You ever have anyone do that? That's cool. How you did that? You watch that. Oh, it looks like it's bending. Anyway, so you do have the benefit of that there. I'm going to say that your choice of crayon versus did I purchase my Kim Kardashian skins yet? Oh, on Fortnite? No, I did not. But so here I could post a comment. I haven't been on Fortnite in a couple of days, but I'm gonna put my right here, my gamer tag. So if any of you want to add me, it is Gus. There it is. There's my gamer tag. And people go, what is Gus? What is Gus? Oh, yeah. I added you a few months ago, but my mic crapped out on my Switch. I don't use the mic. I don't want to talk to anyone. I've gotten into things and it's something that's, there's a creepiness to it. All of a sudden someone invites you to go do trios or something, and it's a 12-year-old kid somewhere, yelling, and I'm like, I can't be here. I cannot be here. But I do go on, and I've played with I've done Call of Duty with Adam Pavlak, and Colin Yelich, and PUBG, which I didn't like PUBG at all because My son preferred PUBG, but PUBG was just where you land and there's nothing around, and then you go and might get a gun somewhere. But PUBG is basically run, go into a house, guy jumps out of a closet and kills you. That's the game. And I was not a fan about that. But Gus McN 9965, well, the 965 comes from 96.5 WKLH. So I have a lot of usernames and stuff, and that I would just use the 965 when you got to split and use numbers. Well, then, of course, for the last 8 years, I was over on the game 997.3. So then a lot of them now is KB 973 or KB 9730 or what have you. And that one's extinct now too. But then we're going to go over here. I'll go over this one and I will pull out the marker. And we'll see how the marker looks compared to them. It's a dual art marker. This is a green color, and got the fat side. Like I said, you got the fat side and the thin side. So I'm going to the word happy right here with this green. And this is the thing I don't know. I'm not the marker. This is going to be a really dark green. So your coverage is darker, but you have to be really good to color with a marker. And then to know what side of the marker to use. I'm going to go to the thin side to try and stay within the lines. Okay. But what I generally find is that it's actually, I have a problem staying in the lines with the marker more than I do with the crayon. So, and you can't do your circular thing, and that, and if you don't use even pressure, then you get dark spots and things like that. But the colors do look a lot bolder when you do that. But I don't know. I have to, and you can see the difference here. But the marker, it's always at the ready. There's no sharpening. And they did in that kit, I think that kit was like $12. All this stuff is pretty cheap. They did send replacement tips. So, I can replace the tip once they wear out. But, and, like I said it once, I'll say it again. It's all about the tip. Always is, always has been, always will be. But you decide what you're going to do. Here we go. Hey, KB, remember to keep yourself active at this time. Like I'm a senior citizen. Well, I can guarantee you that I'm not going to sit and watch Fox News, which I think any of you have parents that are still around or retired, or any retired people that you know. I'd love to run mathematical regression analysis on this, because I'm thoroughly convinced there's a direct one-to-one correlation between age. You would have your age going up like this. And I think you would have the same, it would not be a cross vortex. It would not be crossing. You would have your age going up like this, then, but right under it, or maybe right over it, it's one-to-one commensurate with the volume of Fox News. So the older you are, and as you age, the Fox News volume goes up in the home. And the older it is, my mom is 84, and when I go to visit her, her TV is so freaking loud. Down to 2 viewers. Yeah, okay. Oh, down to 1, Ben. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for sticking around. Luckily, the content keeps validating my life choices. Well, you're the only one still. Hey, I know KB Mickey's here, so we get 2. I don't know, someone's not showing up, but anyway, yeah, I know the Fox News problem. So what I did, and I'm a problem solver. The YouTube counter sucks. Great, I've got more people. Anyway, so my mom's TV is really loud, but she's also not computer literate, right? And what I did was I went and downloaded the Vizio app on my phone and linked it to her TV. And by doing so, I was able to adjust. The volume on the TV, and she wouldn't know it. So I was able to do that. Oh, my wife's home. Good, she can feed Kenneth. I was going to take a 2-minute break and go feed. I was going to go feed the dog, but I don't have to do that now because she'll be able to get it. So anyway, where I was with coloring is there you can see the 3 different colors. And so we start here with crayon, and we move to colored pencil, and then we move to marker. But here you go. It's like, look at the back. There's no, the bleed through is important too. It's got a lot of bleed through there. So if you're coloring in a coloring book, you got to put a piece of paper behind there. Otherwise it's going to bleed through, into your other, it'll bleed through into the next page, which isn't that good. We are working on more subs for you and online views for you. Well, thank you very much. But we are also, so that's the crayon thing. Also, hit me up with any comments on, when you go, put any comments that you would like onto the stream or comments on the video, and tell me what are some of the things that you would want me to cover, some of the topics that you would want me to cover, because I got nothing going other than to talk about inane shit all day. And believe me, as you can see, I've done 3 days worth at well over an hour each day. That's stupid. That looks like hell, because we're going to just get rid of the coloring can there. And then when I do that, then I have to do this. So I'll get, the more I do this, I'm going to get a lot better with it. There we go. The KB's Unemployed show. There, we're back. And we're back. So if you want to give me any subject matter that you think I should address as I get the hang of this, and remember, the goal of this whole thing is to do what may be the most stupid show ever. But the reason I'm doing this is that one day I'm going to end up being, back in having a show, and it's probably going to be on YouTube. Everyone who's gotten blown out of radio, and radio is dying flat out. I mean, it really is. If you ask your friends how many of you listen to the radio, not many of them do, and they certainly don't listen regularly. If none of my students do, and I was thinking about it, I don't even have a radio in the house. So if we do resurface somewhere, it's going to be on a YouTube show. So this is just kind of like a dry run for me, that I'm just practicing things. And I'm not a host. Drew is always the number one. I'm not the host. I would just chime in with stuff. But I got the idea from when Jimmy Fallon took over the Tonight Show. He ran a whole month of shows on the internet only. And that's, Mickey, do I want to have topic-like portions of the show? Yeah, I started out talking about Nick Reiner and the police going into a hotel. And I'll give you an update on the hotel tomorrow, because I have to look up what it looks like. But how they arrested him and then went into his hotel room, and they said there was blood everywhere. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the front desk clerk looking at if there is blood? They said the bathtub was covered in blood. Well, he had to be covered in blood. So if he's going to, I want to know what kind of hotel this is that he walks in at 4 a.m, checks it, and the guy doesn't notice blood. And then I went to coloring. And so that's 2 topics. But yeah, you can give me a few topics for the show. I've also got the up on the channel, I've got KB's acoustic cover of the day, where I just do cover songs. It's whatever I can think of to come to my mind to keep me occupied. Because the last time that I was unemployed was about 10 years ago. I was unemployed for a period of months. My wife refers to it as the summer of Kevin. We will not have the summer of Kevin anymore. And I promised her I wouldn't. But I was out making calls and doing some things today and talking to some people. Tomorrow is going to be get your insurance straightened out day. And but the summer, there will not be the winter of Kevin. I can guarantee that. And then the thing about the summer of Kevin was my handicap got down to a 4. So that was pretty good. That was a positive about the summer of Kevin. But the negative is that it gets down to a 4 handicap and you don't make any money. You just get your ass beat. So I've worked it back up to a 9. And, now I'm flush with cash. Mickey says, weird or unbelievable story of the day, like something else. Well, something, Mick? That gets us to, I'm not exactly sure how long the show runs. It just runs until I run out of gas. But that is going to bring us to a feature right now. And this will be, I'm going to end this after this feature. And it's a feature that I call, What Color is the Sky on Your Planet? I'm sure you can find out, you can guess what that's derivative of. Another thing that became quite popular on the previous radio show that I was on. And I would like to point out that that was probably the best 8 years of work that I ever had, to be able to work with Drew. And I have literally nothing bad to say about the organization that I worked for, because if I do, I'll get in trouble. But I have nothing bad to say about that. But what color is the sky on your planet? And this one has been out there for a while. And it just hit my feed. And if you watch the show, and here's something that I'm going to if you watched our show before or listened to our show before, Drew would always make the comment, he'd always go, I don't even want to see what your For You page looks like. Because I am all over the place when stuff pops into my mind. Again, it is I'll give you an example. It is another benefit, yet a curse of being ADHD. But we'll go down, we're going to go down my searches. These are my actual searches on my phone, on ChatGPT when I need quick answers. So let's just see what I was looking at. Christmas cookie recipe, Candace Owens on Erica Kirk. Functional alcoholic explanation, conviction rate on predators, typeface suggestions, grading rubrics, Euphoria plot summary, email inquiry, what was Sean Connery's age in 1964, Kenneth the Pitbull, audio segmentation, TJ Hawkinson NFL career, rewriting redacted texts, feet tingling causes. My feet must have been tingling. Retirement guidelines, forced retirement guidelines, lowest ranked educational states, energy drink trends, and the wreck of the Edmonds Fitzgerald. That is my search feed on ChatGPT. So that tells you everything about what I'm dealing with on a daily basis between my ears. But today I came across this one, and this is about 4 years ago. And I am going to let you decide and take a look at this. And then you could see why I say, what color is the sky on your planet? And I want you to look at a couple of things, because this is the most effed up thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't even want to know who these people are. It's like, what is wrong with people? And here we go.
We performed this piece in Cambodia, and there's no sheep in Cambodia. So the children were quite frightened when I shear the sheep, because they thought I was skinning it. We had a question and answer period at the end, and one of the questions, why are you skinning the sheep? Why are you, hurting the sheep? That's a good question. and so, all of a sudden it became educational. I had to explain what shearing sheep is all about. One of my favorite things is to observe children actually during the show, because you can see their little brain computing, trying to understand what's going on. One of my favorite comments that I've heard often was a child asking, Mommy, are they real people? Not are they real sheep, but are they real people? That's nice.
So, as I like to say, what color is the sky on your planet? it's like, you got to be dry shaving me. FA excuses. Yeah, that is priceless. You are all over the place with your searches. And I'm saying it's just whatever pops into my head. And I'm sure that had I not seen that, if I really wanted to do a deep dive into it, I'm sure I could have looked up why do people dress like sheep. I think that takes furry to a whole new level. But when you look at it, it's like they had to practice. They had to create the costumes, then they had to create a sheared sheep costume. And we can go back and take a look at it. No, here we go. We'll just say
we performed this piece in Cambodia, and there's no sheep in Cambodia, so the children were quite frightened when I shear the sheep, because they thought I was skinning it. We had a question and answer period at the end, and one of the questions, why are you skinning the sheep? Why are you, hurting the sheep? Good question. and so, all of a sudden it became educational. I had to explain what shearing sheep is all about. One of my favorite things is to observe children actually during the show, because you can see their little brain computing and trying to understand what's going on. One of my favorite comments that I've heard often was a child asking, "Mommy, are they real people?" Not are they real sheep, but are they real people? That's nice.
It's crazy. So anyway, but Mickey, give me some, Mickey and Ben and whoever joined us here today, give me some ideas for topics, and I will hit those. And you can come back. I post all these videos. Mickey says, I have relatives in Japan. The things people do in Japan are crazy. Yeah, you know what? They've got 200 different flavors of Kit Kats. How about that? They love their Kit Kats. 200 different flavors right there. But thanks for joining today on day 3 of KB's Unemployed and the KB's Unemployed show. One thing I'm going to do tomorrow is I have found... People have always asked band of the day topic. Yeah, I can do band of the day. I want to do concerts. I've also found that I go through and I'll find a bunch of different videos that I will share. We can do band of the day. Just hit the YouTube page and tell me what you want to. Maybe I'll do different candy flavors from around the world. I don't know. That could be a whole show, or just what's on my YouTube feed. All of those things are a distinct possibility, so keep coming back. Subscribe to the page. I know some of you already have. It's not going to be monetized anytime soon, but like I said, I'm just working my chops to get used to this, because at some point in the future, and I'm not exactly sure when, we shall rise from the ashes, and it's going to be all on YouTube, and very much like this. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing. And so thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.